So hello and good morning to everyone. My name is Alok Sharma and you're watching Ficon classes. Let's hit the concepts. So till now we have completed our unit number 1, that is units and dimension. So if you have not seen the videos, just hit the I button there and you can see all those videos. In this particular lecture we are going to start vectors. That is the part of basic mathematics. So if you have doubts like what are vectors, how do we differentiate between vectors and scalar, what is the important point that makes or that decides whether a particular quantity is a scalar or it is a vector, then you are definitely at the right place. Keep watching this video till the end and I guarantee you that all of these doubts will be clear. So let's get started. We are going to start basic mathematics. And this basic mathematics contains vectors, calculus, and in calculus there are two parts, differential calculus and integral calculus. So today in this lecture we will be discussing about vectors. So why we are studying basic math? This question may come into your mind. See, basic math or mathematics, it is called as the language of science, and physics is also a science. Right. So the language of science, if you don't know, how would you be able to understand the things that is written in science? Because many of the things you will see that you will find many mathematical equations while we study physics. Because science requires a language in which we can write about the facts related to science or related to the environment, related to the nature. And this language is called as mathematics. Using the tools of mathematics, we are describing the relationship between different physical quantities, the relation between the different nature properties, natural properties. So that is the reason why we are going to study about the math. And basic mathematics is really required to move further in physics. Okay, so vectors we are going to start today. Let us move on to the next slide. So here we have differentiated scalar and vector. So what is a scalar quantity? What is a vector quantity? See, any scalar quantity is defined solely by their magnitude. But for defining a vector quantity, you need a direction along with a magnitude. What are you saying, sir? What is the direction coming? How this direction thing is coming? Okay, so let me tell you how this direction thing is coming. So, okay, if I have this pen, if I ask you what is the weight, what is the mass, first of all take mass. What is the mass of this pen? What you'll say? Maybe 20 grams. So you'll say, sir, this mass of this pen is 20 grams. Or will you say the mass of this pen is 20 grams towards north direction? That doesn't make any sense. So while saying about the mass of a particular body, we do not require any kind of direction because that doesn't make any sense. Mass is the property that tells that how much quantity of matter is being stored inside a body. And that does not require any kind of direction for its definition. But if I ask you about weight, so let me tell you, weight is a kind of force which is acted on any of the mass because of the Earth's gravitational pull. Mass multiplied with acceleration due to gravity, which is in the downward direction, gives us weight. So when I ask you that what is the weight of this substance, of this pen, then you can say that it is something Newton. The unit is going to change, Newton. This much amount of Newton in the downward direction. Why? Because weight always acts in the downward direction, or you can say towards the center of the earth, because weight comes into picture because of the earth's gravitational pull. So while defining weight, we need to say that the direction of weight is towards the earth's center. But while defining mass, we only need to tell about the material contained, that this much amount of material is being contained by the body. So among mass and weight is a vector quantity because it needs a direction.
But mass does not require any kind of direction for its definition, and hence it is a scalar quantity. Understand? Now I can tell you a very interesting thing here. Why we are taking this direction as an important tool to differentiate between the quantities? What is the need? So for this particular thing, I'll give you one example again. Let's suppose I have this pen like this. If I apply a force onto this pen in the axial direction, axial means if this is the axis of the pen, I am applying a force in the axial direction. So when I am applying a force in the axial direction, then there will be movement of this pen in the forward direction, right? So this pen will start moving in the forward direction. That will be a translatory motion. Clear? Now think of a second case. Now if I am applying the force in perpendicular direction or in the downward direction, what is the effect of this force? This tends to rotate the body. So if I change the direction of force, the after effect onto the body is changing, right? So because of this, we can understand that the direction plays an important role because the after effects are changing. So for force, we have understood by the example, and there are many other quantities that requires a particular direction for their definition, and those quantities will also be called as vector quantities. Clear? So I think this much is clear. Now see, for any scalar quantity, it is going to obey ordinary rules of algebra. Normal algebraic rules are valid. For addition, multiplication, subtraction, normal rules are valid. And some of the examples are distance, mass, time, speed, volume, temperature, and current. Fine. Now coming to vector quantities, they require magnitude as well as direction for their definition. And then normal algebra is not valid here. So different kind of algebra will be required. For addition, two vectors cannot be added directly. The magnitude you cannot add directly. Two vectors, if you are multiplying it, there are certain different rules that we need to follow. Understand? So directly we cannot add or multiply vectors, but for scalars we can directly add or multiply them because normal algebra is valid. Now coming here, examples are displacement, velocity, and acceleration and force. Now let us see this conventional example also. So here between house and the pond, let's suppose house is this point A is representing that point and point B is for pond. Now if a person takes path A, then he'll be moving like this, if you can see. Let's suppose this distance is 0.7 kilometers. Path B is even longer than this, and let's suppose this is 1 kilometer. And then there is third path which is represented with a arrow and written as S. Now among these three paths, in path 1, if you start from A and start moving in this path towards B, then you will find that continuously you are changing your direction. So sometimes you may be facing towards north, then maybe sometimes in the east direction, maybe sometimes in the west direction. So randomly it is changing, continuously it is changing. So while you are moving from A to B via path A, you cannot give a particular direction. And that is why the total distance covered during a person is moving via path A will not be a vector quantity. It will be a scalar quantity, and that is why distance is kept in a scalar quantity. Understand? The same is the case with path 2 also. The direction is continuously changing and we cannot give a particular direction for that thing, and that is why it is kept in scalar. But what about the third case? This magenta line. Here a person is moving from A to B and the direction is always constant. He is always moving in a particular direction and is not changing his direction, and we can give it a direction in this particular path, and hence this particular thing, the distance traveled between A and B when the person is moving or taking the path F will be called as vector. And the distance, when the distance is the smallest between 2 points and the direction is always constant, then the distance is called as displacement. A new name is being given, special name for smallest distance is given, and it is called as displacement, and it's a vector quantity. Understand? So I think vector and scalar, the differentiation is now clear. What is the need of vector? This thing is also, I think it is clear to you. Okay, let us move forward. Now that we know about the importance of a vector quantity, now there is a need to understand what is the standard procedure for representing a vector. Because we know that vector is a quantity that has a direction along with a magnitude, there is a standard representation of vector, and that we need to understand. So here, as you see in the diagram, this blue colored line represents a vector. So here on one side there is one arrowhead, and on the other side there is no arrow mark, and this side, this other side without the arrow mark is called as tail, and with the arrow mark is called as head. The length of this particular line is going to represent the magnitude of a vector, and the direction shown by the arrowhead will represent the direction of the vector. Clear? Now let's suppose if I call this tail as P and this head as Q. Now in this case, this particular vector, let's suppose this vector is A vector. So this particular vector A along with that arrow mark represents a vector quantity. Okay. So any of the letter P, Q, R along with arrow mark represents a vector. Okay. Any vector quantity it represents. Now here, if this line is vector A and point P and Q are the trailing edge and the head edge, then vector A can also be written as vector PQ. Clear? Clear? Now to find out, to represent the magnitude, only to represent the magnitude, there is a way, and this thing is called as modulus of a vector. Modulus of a vector is represented as mod of vector A, and that will be equals to A. So either you can write mod of vector A, this also represents the magnitude of the vector, or you can write only A, that also represents magnitude of a vector. So magnitude can be either represented with mod sign or directly with the letter. If you remove the arrowhead, that represents the magnitude only. Understand? And magnitude does not have any kind of direction. For direction, you need to put arrowhead. Clear? So up to this, is it clear? Representation of a vector. Now let us move on and try to understand about different kinds of vectors. So here we have different kinds of vectors. Let us just try to know a little bit about all these things, because these words are going to be coming later. Okay, so zero or null vector. So by the name itself it is clear. Zero means the magnitude of the vector is going to be zero. If the magnitude of a vector is zero, how will you know about the direction of the vector? So any different or any arbitrary direction a zero vector can have. Clear? Now let's suppose you have two vectors A and B, and both are same. Both are same means they are in the same direction, they have same magnitude. If you subtract vector A from vector B, then what is the final result? The final result is nothing but zero or null vector, because this thing we are getting by the subtraction of two vectors. So the resultant will be vector, but because the two vectors are equal and same in the direction, the resultant is going to be a null vector. Clear? Now that direction we don't know. That can be any arbitrary direction. Now coming to second point, equal vectors. By the name equal, we should understand this is going to be two vectors. Any two vectors with same magnitude and the same direction is called as equal vector. Just keep on writing, make notes. Any two vectors with same magnitude and same direction. Now coming to negative vectors. Negative vectors, here the vectors have equal magnitude, no doubt, but they are opposite in direction, as you can see in the diagram, B and minus B. So minus B, if you call it as A, then we can write vector A is equals to minus of vector B. So A and B are negative vectors, or you can say like this: B is the negative vector of A, or A is the negative vector of B. Clear? So two vectors, those are having same magnitude but different direction, are called as negative vectors. Now collinear vector. Now what is collinear? Collinear. Linear means in a line, and co means same. When two vectors are in the same line, then these vectors are called as collinear vectors. When two vectors are in the same line, and we are not telling, or we are not going to define the magnitude here. We are not interested in the magnitude. We are only interested in the direction in the line. If the two vectors are in one line, that means the direction is in one line, then these two vectors are called as collinear vectors, and we are not sure about the magnitude. These magnitudes can be same, either it can be same or it can be different also. Clear? Now, parallel vectors. So two vectors will be called as parallel vectors when they are represented in such a manner that the two vectors line are going to be parallel to each other. That means if you extend the vector line, they will never cross, they are not going to cross each other even at the infinity. Clear? So this is one thing. Now there can be two possibility of vectors having parallel direction. Either they will be in the same direction like this, or they will be in the different direction. So first one is the same direction. So when the vectors are in the same direction, they are called as like parallel vectors. So this one is called as this combination is called as like then parallel vector. But when the vectors are parallel but opposite in the sense, then they are called as unlike parallel vectors. Clear? So again, here also we are not interested in the magnitude, we are only interested in the direction. Clear? In equal vectors, we are interested in the magnitude also. Why? Because equal vectors, the magnitude of both the vectors are going to be same along with the direction. Clear? But in parallel and collinear vectors, we are not interested in magnitude, we are only interested in the direction. Clear? Now, coplanar and co-current. Coplanar and concurrent. So coplanar, what is the meaning of coplanar? Planar means plane. Coplanar means the vectors that are in same plane. And concurrent is defined as when number of vectors emerge from a single point. They are coming out of a single point, or number of vectors crossing at a single point. Then those vectors will be called as concurrent vectors. Now if there are number of vectors, those are crossing at a single point, all the vectors are crossing at a single point, and all the vectors are lying in a single plane, then the vector will be both coplanar and concurrent. Like here you can see force 1, 2, 3, 4. All the forces are crossing from point, let's call it as O, and all the forces are in this plane. Then the forces, all these vectors are called as coplanar and concurrent vectors. Clear? Now there is one more kind of vector which is very, very important, and that we are going to see, and this is called as unit vector. Unit, so 0 means the magnitude is going to be 0, and unit means the magnitude is going to be 1. Clear? Now here you see this diagram, you see this is a vector with a magnitude of 10. Now if I find a vector which is having the same direction but the magnitude is 1 unit, then that particular vector here this is represented. Now this vector will be called as unit vector of given vector. Clear? So unit vector of a given vector you can find out. So how we might have got this particular vector? If I divide this particular vector, let's suppose call it as A. If I divide vector A with its magnitude 10, then you will get a unit vector, and representation of unit vector is letter with a cap. This is called as cap. So here you can see, here in this equation you can see A cap is equals to vector A divided by A. So when you are writing simply A, that represents the magnitude of the vector. When you are writing A with an arrow mark, that represents vector A. So vector A divided by its magnitude will give you the A cap, that means the unit vector in that particular direction. Clear? Now, if you know about the Cartesian coordinate x, y and z direction. So in Cartesian coordinate, if you take a vector of single unit in x direction, it is represented with I cap. So this is a standard notation. In y direction, if you take a vector with single unit magnitude, then that will be called as j cap. In the z direction, the unit vector is represented as k cap. So I cap, j cap and k cap are the unit vectors in the direction of x, y and z in any of the Cartesian coordinate. Clear? So everything is clear till now? Up to this, if everything is clear, so we are done with the vectors and different kinds of vectors. And there is one more point, that is a rotational vector, and that I will discuss in the next lecture. So till now I think everything is clear to you, and I think hopefully I am able to explain everything and make everything clear to you, that what is the vector and the difference between scalar and vector, how do we define vectors, what is the basic point that is required to know or to differentiate between scalar and vector. So all these problems I think I am able to solve it. So just keep on learning, and we will meet again in the next lecture. Till then, bye bye, take care.